We join you with breaking news. I'm Caroline Collins. We're continuing to cover the awful massacre that happened in New Orleans. 10 people killed, multiple others injured in the early morning hours of New Year's Day. And now we have learned that the suspect has ties to Houston. We've in fact learned that he is a U.S.-born citizen and he has a residency here in Houston. Now, he drove his truck into a crowd in New Orleans on Bourbon Street, and that's where we find Donnelly Keith here in Houston, as there is FBI activity in a neighborhood with ties to this suspect who drove his truck into the crowd in New Orleans. Donnelly, what can you tell us at this hour?
Yeah, Caroline, Shamsuddin Jabbar is said to be a Houston resident, and according to an internet address, he supposedly lives here in this northwest Harris County neighborhood. Now, there are swarms of Harris County Sheriff's deputies that are on that street. This is at Crescent Peak Drive. This is the back of the home that we're looking at right now. And Harris County Sheriff's deputies, they have the road blocked off at Hugh Road, and that's leading to Crescent Peak Drive, where the home is, which is listed as the address for the suspect who killed all of those people there in New Orleans. The FBI has released a statement saying that FBI Houston and the Harris County Sheriff's Office are currently conducting law enforcement activity here in this area and at this home. And the FBI confirms that they have secured a perimeter in this area, and they're asking people to avoid that area. Now, we were over there near that home trying to talk with neighbors, but the sheriff's deputies came in and told all of the media to move away from the home. I asked a few of those sheriff's deputies if a raid was planned and if they are planning to go into that house, and he said probably. We do see a lot of sheriff's deputies, I would say probably dozens of sheriff's deputies in this area, looking as though they're preparing to do something. They are gathering in groups. Some have their lights turned on, their patrol vehicles, as they are blocking traffic and keeping traffic away from this home. Now, also the sort of the rideshare app Turo, they also released a statement saying, "We are heartbroken to learn that one of our host's vehicles was involved in this awful incident. We are actively partnering with the FBI. We are not currently aware of anything in this guest's background that would have identified him as that would not have identified him as a untrustworthy and safety threat to us at the time of the reservation." Now, again, lots of deputies here in this northwest Harris County neighborhood, and the FBI confirms there is law enforcement activity that they are involved in, and it looks like they're about to go into a home that we're told that could belong to Shamsuddin Jabbar. He is the suspect in that deadly New Orleans incident that occurred, killing all of those people there in New Orleans.
Donnelly, at this point, if you can hear me, is this the only residence that the FBI and police are surrounding at this point? Have you heard of any other areas that they're checking out at this point?
You know, we checked out several addresses that were listed for this man here in the Houston area, and this is the only address that we've seen police activity. A couple of addresses, people actually came to the door and told me no, it was the wrong address, but this is the only address that we're seeing this much police activity at. Also, he is said to be a business owner of a real estate property that's up in the Sugar Land area, Caroline, so we are learning a lot more information about him. He also says in a video that he posted to YouTube that he's originally from Beaumont, but that he's lived in Houston for some time, and he was soliciting customers for his real estate business. But we also know that his real estate license expired back in 2022, and it doesn't appear that he has a new Texas real estate license. So we are digging and trying to find out as much information about this man as we possibly can, Caroline.
And Donnelly, I see that you are pretty far from the home. I know there's a lot of noise happening around you, so I hope you can hear me. You're pretty far back. That means that perimeter is pretty big.
Yeah, the perimeter that the deputies have set is pretty large. We're at the back of the home right now. There is a deputy down on Hugh Road. Not sure if you can see that. He's got his lights on and he's blocking the road. And then there are also deputies in a parking lot right next door. I think photographer Darlene is zooming into that right now. There are deputies in plain clothes that are staging in that parking lot. And then another block up, there were another maybe 6 or 7 deputies in their vehicles that were blocking off the road there. So initially we were there at the on the road where the house is located, and we were, trying to talk with neighbors, trying to see if anyone was in that home. But that's when the deputies came along and said that they were setting up a perimeter. They had all of the media move out of the way, but it doesn't look like they've evacuated any residents from the area. We have seen residents still coming and going, but they are not. If you don't live there, they're not allowing you to go to that road right now, Caroline.
Well, Domily, at this point, were you able to talk with anybody who knew of this 42-year-old suspect who is now dead after a gunfire exchange last night when this all happened, when he drove his truck into a crowd of people, killing 10 of them? Were you able to speak with any neighbors or anybody that knew of this suspect?
At this point, I've not spoken with anyone who said that they know him. I did speak with one resident who was coming from that area of the home, and but she told me she didn't know him, she didn't recognize him, she didn't even know that he lived in this area. So at this point, I've not spoken with anyone who knows him.
Well, Domily Keith, thank you so much for this update. If you are just joining us, we are following the horrific New Year's Day attack in New Orleans that left at least 10 people dead, dozens more injured after a driver intentionally rammed his truck into a crowd. Now, right now, the FBI is looking for possible accomplices, and the FBI says that this suspect, who's 42 years old, his name is Shamsuddin Jabbar, is a Houston resident and also an Army veteran. And FBI Houston and the Harris County Sheriff's Office, well, they're currently conducting law enforcement activity at the intersection of Hugh Road and Crescent Peak Drive in North Houston. That's where we just spoke with Domily Keith, who is giving us that view from the ground. And we also saw Skyfox overhead of the large perimeter and police surrounding that area. We have limited information at this point as to what they're searching for at that home. Again, police and the FBI still looking and considering that there could be other suspects involved here. But the 42-year-old suspect from Houston who drove his car into that crowd died when law enforcement and him exchanged gunfire when this was all unfolding in the early morning hours as people were celebrating the new year. It's definitely a story that we are all following here at Fox 26. We actually have a reporter headed down to New Orleans right now, so we will bring you live reports from him as soon as he arrives. And of course, you can go to fox26houston.com. You can also download the Fox Local app for your phone and your smart TV for free.